The Front Door, handing you the keys to today's real estate knowledge. This podcast is brought to you by Samson Properties with support from Cardinal Title Group.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Front Door podcast. We're going to make it a video podcast, our first one of these Zoom virtual world podcasts. We've got our Vice President of Operations, Sarah Moorman, and an accomplished salesperson here with us today. Welcome.
Hello.
Sarah's she's probably the leader in the clubhouse for most podcast appearances at this point.
Oh, that's exciting.
Don't tell Casey. He'll come and beat
I
me.
won't.
We've talked a lot about some of the things that we're going to talk about in today's podcast in different venues, but we wanted to organize it all in kind of one session and give a lot of good tips because while we're all hoping we'll only be in this world for a week or two, it could be a lot longer that we're in the virtual world. Say
virtual
that.
World. Yes, virtual world.
So we wanted to do a whole podcast today on selling real estate in a virtual world. Some tips for helping you guys in your business, how to organize your business, how to work better, how to reach out to clients, all that kind of fun stuff. So we'll help get rolling here. Sarah's helped put together a lot of these slides here, a lot of great stuff. So we've shared our screen with you if you're watching it in video format here, so you can see the slides as we're kind of talking through some of these good tips. So selling real estate in a virtual world. Some keys to success. What do you think, Sarah? What are some good keys to success?
You know, first of all, they've got to have a space, because right now we've got kids running around, we've got dogs barking. You know, everybody's trying to share the same space, and I think it's safe to say that as much as we love our families, our current environments are not big enough for all of us to, cohabitate successfully and quietly. So you've got to find a space that's yours, that you can shut the doors, that you can turn off the phones if you need to, that you're away from the animals, where you can just sit down. You know, I was laughing when I told Donny earlier, I have 3 screens now between my laptop and 2 monitors, and it's wonderful to be able to have that much set up in my home office, but just finding a space and using it so that they can get some work done and focus, because we can't just sit and veg out. We have to actually do some work. We have to engage. We have to, business as usual. You can't just hide with your head under the sand, although I would really like to be in the sand.
Yes.
But I'm supposed to be in the sand this week. This is my week to be in the sand. But just, regular office hours in your office where you're working is important to help us.
And one tip I've heard from some people too is don't make your office, your laptop on your bed. You're much more likely to be in a lazy state and give up quicker if you are on your bed. We know that's the most comfortable place in the world, but
hey, look, we all have that favorite spot on the sofa where our butt fits perfectly in between where we sink. But what happens is that we sink, and then the TV goes on and the kid comes in and starts talking, and the dog needs to go out and the laundry needs to be done, and then we start doing life, right?
Absolutely. So try to set a routine, get your home office, make hours, and set some type of schedule. Now, life's going to get in the way in some way, but set schedule so you're doing things. Whether it's we're doing a good job at the Nest every morning of logging in. Like I know this morning on Monday morning we had the whole week planned out, all the different things you could join virtually. But set a schedule on classes you want to take, things you want to do. And work around those, or have a set, this is the hour I do networking every day. But start with a schedule, start with a plan, and you'll feel much more productive at the end of the day instead of just mindless, wanderously around the internet. All of a sudden you're on Amazon and then you're wherever, and you realize
you're on Facebook, and then, 9 hours later you're coming off shopping and you have like 19 things showing up at your door you don't need. Yes.
Exactly. So make office hours and work. It's a business. Treat it as a business. Get up, get coffee, start your day with regular hours.
Start your day, yes. Your kids are on a great routine right now of being in school and homeschooled, and they have, I strive for this. Your kids probably are much better because Meredith's better at this than I am. But they have to have 90 minutes or whatever it is per class, and they're doing their work. We need to be doing ours too. Right. Figure out what your schedule looks like, prospect for an hour in the morning, take a mental break, prospect for another hour, check in with people. We'll talk more about that as we go through, but just engage.
Right.
Engage is the key.
Try to set that schedule. Get up, get going at a normal time. So you're starting your day at an appropriate time. Whether some people, like for me, I gotta do the whole bit and shower and get ready. Like, I'm awake, ready for the day. If you can do it without that, that's fine. But still have a plan to start your day at a normal time.
Right. Your day can't start at noon, and it's great, but we're not on summer vacation. It's the thing I keep telling the kids, we're not on summer vacation. This is still life. Right. So it's like you said, get up. Your day starts way earlier than mine, Donnie. We've established that. But, we're still up. You get your routine in the morning. Like I said, I was excited. I'm on a shirt today, but, we're not necessarily in pajamas these days, but we need to continue to go about business like we were working.
Gotcha. Good tips. So you said prospect every day. What do you think about that?
Yeah. One of the things that I did last week that I absolutely loved was I printed out my database and I called every single person on my database.
So first of all, before you went there, you have to get that database together. So you have a good job of keeping your database together. Some of you, I've been preaching this forever, but I still think some of you probably haven't done this. Before you can prospect to a database, you have to get your database together in one good sheet so you know who it is. What does a database mean? All the people that you've worked with, all the people that all the people you'd want to reach out to. So first of all, get that all together.
Excel spreadsheet if you don't have anything else, a notebook if you don't have anything else, get it ready. KV Core's coming. You've got to have it for KV Core anyway. But yeah, so I printed my database. I called every single person on there. I did not ask every single person, do you want to buy or sell a house? I asked one simple question. I said, how are you? Because people do not have physical contact right now. Your extroverted friends are not okay. We are used to engagement. We are used to, we are not okay.
When I take the dog for the walk, I do the walk around the circle, just hoping that neighbors come out so I can engage them.
Yeah, so that you can say hello or have some level of physical contact. Introverts, you were born for this. You can stay in your house and love it. Extroverts, we are sticking our head out the door just looking for people that could potentially be walking down the street so that we can go say hello and socially distance and have a conversation from 6 feet. But just, call your people, check in with them. Mental health right now is big because people are feeling different ways about, what's going on. Some people are better equipped to handle it than others. But most people are missing that physical contact. We are a month into this, and just check on them. Just reach out and say hello. And do you need anything? I've got extra toilet paper. I can do a drop. I did drop toilet paper at a client's house. She was out of toilet paper. I ding-dong ditched and dropped some toilet paper. Aim for that weekly contact because just checking in on them. Again, it's not, hey, you want to buy or sell your house right now? It's, I'm checking on you. I care about you. How are you doing? What do you need?
Absolutely. And track your people, track your contacts, keep notes so you don't miss anything. Keep notes so you can
keep notes.
You can be more informed in that next conversation. And, if you missed them, you might try to reach out to them before that week is up,
Absolutely. It's tracking who you're getting in touch with and who you're not getting in touch with. If you're finding that you're calling people that that you like, you trust, and they're not getting back with you, you need to try a little harder. Something could be going on, right? Again, it's the mental health aspect of everything that we're going through right now. They could be ill themselves and need some help. But at the same time, it's, if you've taken Ninja, it's that one conversation that you have builds that next conversation that you're going to have with them so that you know what's going on. And I've been doing this now for several weeks to the point where I'm hearing from my people, like I was a day off in calling because I started calling the same weekday and then I was a day off. So now people are texting me going, hey, didn't hear from you. You good? I'm like, I'm good. You good? Like, so now it's moved from phone to text, but you're doing it because you care. You're not doing it because you want something. And that's a huge, huge difference.
But you actually have to care, not just want something.
You have to actually care. And if you don't, then you need to fake it.
Gotcha.
I don't
want to clarify that. Eventually we want something, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Eventually.
I'm just messing around. So the next page, we're talking about prospecting and nurturing. You've already we jumped into this.
Oh, I kind of hit some of that stuff. Yeah.
Call your people, check on them because you care, physical and mental health.
See if they need something.
Handwritten notes. What were you talking about with this?
So I love that because right now, again, you're missing that physical contact. I'm a big lover of handwritten notes, sending someone something that takes your physical energy and your concentrated effort and time to let someone know that you care about them. Well, right now, what's the joy and excitement of the day? It's walking to the mailbox and getting the bills out of it, because there's nothing else, right? There's no other contact. That handwritten note is huge, just because it lets somebody know that you care. If you're afraid to leave your house and go to the mailbox because, you're going to get attacked by the coronavirus the minute you walk out your door, you can use services like sendoutcards.com. There's other services where you can actually type in the message and they'll send a handwritten note that looks like it's coming right from you. That's a great service to use as well. Of course, you pay for that service versus the handwritten note of, sending it yourself. But just letting people know you care. It's that extra special touch that gives you that contact that you don't know the impact that has. I mean, even in a normal environment, when we get our mail, it's bill, Val pack. Oh, look, handwritten note. And the rest of the stack goes down and we open the note to see who it's from. So especially now more than ever, again, we're missing that physical and intimate contact with people. I'm not a hugger. Everyone knows I'm not a hugger. I'm still not going to be a hugger when all this is over with. But I love engaging with people. I mean, it's being able to walk in and out of someone's office and ask a question, or being able to turn the corner and just have a conversation and share that energy. Well, right now, the only people we're sharing energy with are the people in our family. And that's fun. I'm sure that that's a wonderful energy deriver for a lot of people. But some people need more than that. Us extroverts have to have more engagement and interaction. And this is just another level of a way that you can engage with someone that takes just a little bit of time and effort and energy from you, but might have a huge impact when that handwritten note's received. Just saying, hey, look, I care about you. I'm checking in on you. Remember that time we did X, Y, and Z? Just thinking about you. Hope everybody's well. Let me know if I can do anything.
Right. No, good advice for sure. Text, Zoom, FaceTime, ask them if they want advice on home projects since they're at their house. So this is not even just relating out to people. If they want advice on home projects, how often are we the sounding board for that? Hey,
Absolutely.
Should I finish this bathroom, or should I change this carpet out? We're always the sounding board. And what most of the times that we say, well, we got to see it, if you can Zoom or FaceTime with somebody, let them pull their phone up. I mean, the technology we have now is amazing. We really can see what's going on there in a lot of levels. And a lot of times either we've been in that house before, we can kind of lay eyes on it again. But the Home Depot is going to have a record year because
they are.
The lines are out the door at Home Depot because everybody's getting to those home projects that they never did before, or were on the to-do list. Right. They never had time for. Well, everybody has time for them now because they don't have all the games to go to on weekends and practices and all the stuff filling up the rest. Forget about the work schedule, not even filling up the rest of their free time, is now all theirs instead of whatever activities and stuff that they were in that are now canceled. So all the home projects are getting done now, and the lines are around the block at Home Depot. So be their sounding board when it comes to what to do and give advice on that stuff.
Well, and one of the reasons I put this on the list is because, you and I've had a conversation before too, which is when we're home and we're isolated in our environment, we can get done twice as much work as what we can get done in a normal day because we're focused without the distractions. So people are getting done the amount of work they want to get done in the day. And then they've got, like you said, that time when they're not going to those practices or those games, but they're bored and they want to do something. And what brought that to the forefront was I had a conversation with a friend. And he said, hey, look, when all this is over, I want you to come over. We're thinking about moving next year. And I'm like, well, what are you doing now? And he said, well, we're flitting around. And I'm like, you've got time now. Why don't you work on some of those things now so that you're not in the mad rush? And he's like, well, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, well, then flip the phone and let's go. And we literally did a FaceTime view of his house where I said, put the phone up to the toilets. Put the phone up to the bathrooms. Let me see the caulk. And I'm like, recaulk this, recaulk that. And he has an entire list of things that he's working on so that he's going to be ready in the next 6 months to move, but he's getting it all done now while he's got the time. Right. So it's important if we're going to utilize our time. Good advice
for sure. Right? I mean, I know
things that they can do.
I know we had decluttered every room and closet and garage in our house within the first week because you got that extra time on your hands.
Right, and that's all sitting in the garage now because the trash won't take
it. That's true. You put it on enough times, they get tired of seeing it. Eventually, they take it.
Yes.
Use social media to let people know
Yeah, let people know who you are, right? Let them know I think I missed a word there. Let them know who you are. Let them know what you're all about. People want to work with people they know, like, and trust, right? So you can use social media during this time to really further and deepen those relationships that you have with people. Take a picture with your dog. I posted a picture this morning of, my son's tired of his office being the kitchen, and he moved into my office. So, I took a picture of my 3 monitors and keyboard and my son and his computer all in my office. And I'm like, this is going to be a great day. But, let people know who you are and what's important to you, and your fun side and your professional side. I always caution people whenever you use social media, ignore politics, ignore your opinion on religion, and ignore now, especially. I don't care if you think the government's crazy for the shutdown, or if you think that you're criticizing everyone for stepping foot on your foot. No opinions necessary.
It's good advice, and I would piggyback on that. I mean, look, we've all got our opinions on this stuff, and I'm not telling you not to have an opinion, but
don't share it.
Yeah, no matter what it is. Now, there are some people I've talked to that say, I don't care. I don't want to work with people that don't have the same opinion of me. I'm not sure that I would go that far, but there's been 10 times I've stopped, whether it's, and not even posting yourself, but engaging in any kind of conversation you see going on out there. Other people see it, and I've stopped a bunch of times when it comes to, even realtor group conversations, because unfortunately, my last name is going to be associated with our whole company. So, I'm trying to think of all 3,000 of you out there. And it's like, well, if all of a sudden Donny Samson takes some stance that you may or may not agree with, then all of a sudden that has some kind of speaking for our company in some way, shape, or form. So, you're speaking for your own company and your own business whenever you're out there. So if you jump in on somebody else's thing, you might be like, well, I didn't post myself. People see what you're arguing and what you're saying out there, so just try to keep it to yourself.
Well,
you're not going to convince anybody of
your to your point,
you're never going to win an argument.
People take offense at that.
Yeah,
they do. And
you're never going to win an argument on Facebook.
No, and then we get screen copies of it because people screenshot because they're so offended by what you've said, and then we get the post in it at the leadership level saying, how can you support this person working for you? Because you're not going to win. It doesn't matter what you could have the most idealistic, you could be the most wonderful person. Keep your opinions to yourself, because
Sarah and I can think whatever you're saying is absolutely correct, but people are still going to complain about it because whatever side you stood on, there's as many people on the other side as you,
Yes, absolutely. So just be careful. I mean, again, puppies, babies, your kids, tulips growing outside, innocuous, non-opinion related posts are wonderful. They're letting people have an insight. Look, if you want to post what you made for dinner, great. I'm not a cook. I almost posted meatloaf the other night because I made meatloaf and the kids ate 2 pounds of meatloaf in like 2 days. Thought that was great. I almost posted a picture, but I never got one because they ate it. But keep it completely innocuous and non-polarizing.
Right. Set up Zoom conference calls, happy hours with friends, stay engaged. I mean, that's even more social and
all
that too. But, you got to keep all that stuff going. Try to stay engaged.
We lost Donny.
Even you introverts out there. Did you lose me?
Oh, you're back. You froze.
Okay.
It's just that physical contact. Yep.
So keep that going. Even if you're an introvert, try to stay out there and stay connected to people.
Absolutely.
Now we get into kind of tips for selling in the virtual world. So this is directly related to what we're selling. We talked about virtual listing presentations. I know Casey's spent a lot of time on this as well. And I've watched.
I love it.
Yeah, no, it's great. Because the same way that you guys are now watching this and you can see our screen, and it's much easier than if I was sitting next to you at a presentation and we were sharing a book, or I was in front of you in a presentation and the slides were behind me. This is filling up your screen. Well, imagine that you were talking to your seller on the other side and you had your virtual presentation like this, set up really nice on a PowerPoint. You can really talk through all the different things that you want to talk through, and they can see all the great market information, all the great marketing you're going to do. And you really can do a great Zoom listing presentation and really get to know somebody so that when they are ready to sell, whether it's now or in 6 weeks or whatever, that you've already started to build that relationship. So you're going to be the realtor they use when the time comes.
Well, and I love the fact that doing Zoom like this, you can actually do, because you're cutting out the driving on it, you can actually do a lot more presentations than it could take you to drive an hour to somebody's house and then sit down and do an hour presentation and then drive an hour back and then drive 30 minutes. You can actually be more effective and efficient in your presentation and in your business. The only thing I would say is be cognizant of your audience. If you have someone that's technology minded, you're showing them that you're technology minded. But if you have someone that is maybe a different generation, or maybe someone that doesn't like technology, and you try to force them into a technology environment, that may backfire a little bit. So just make sure that your intended audience matches your level of technological expertise here.
Well, I also think it's going to be easier for people willing to meet with you. They're much more willing to give you a half hour of their time over a meeting like this, when they can sit in their family room or sit in their kitchen, and their kids can go watch a cartoon or whatever, and they can engage with you, as opposed to when somebody's going to come over to their house, they're stressed out. They got to get the house all presentable, they got to get themselves presentable,
I've got to straighten out.
Oh yeah, they got to occupy the kids for what's going to be longer.
You don't even have to put on pants. Just the shirt. Yes.
At a minimum, a shirt. Yes.
Just a shirt. Yeah, just a shirt.
So like you said,
I think you'll definitely get more response.
Oh yeah, definitely. And you can, get to meet more people and get them a feel for each other. And you can do a lot of the marketing about yourself and the conversation about yourself. And before you get there, and if they like you, then obviously you can follow up with, wanting to see the house and physically pricing it and, all that kind of stuff. If you can kind of go to the next step with them, you're not going to solve everything in that first meeting, but you're going to get to the point that hopefully you guys feel comfortable with each other to start working on it. You should have comps and stuff prepared so that they can see at least where they stack up in the neighborhood. But I wouldn't want to lock down a price point that you're married to over Zoom unless you've kind of seen a full rundown of the house through video or through FaceTime, or you've physically been in the house yourself. But that can be the follow-up appointment. Show them what the market is, show them your history, show them what you do to market, get to know each other. Then if they want to hire you, then obviously you can come back and do that social distancing walkthrough, or they can, get on their phone and do a walkthrough of the house with you, so you can get to see the house in more detail then. But you can kind of set.
And I think your point of knowing what the market's doing, having that time to run those numbers, to know, like you said, it's key just to say, hey, look, I haven't been in your house, but there's 4 other houses that have gone under contract in the last month. Here's what they look like. Here's how your square footage compares to their square footage. You have time to do the research and be the expert, and you need to be the expert. You need to know what's going on in these communities. Don't just wing it and pull something out of your rump, right?
You've got
if you
time
want to be the
research.
Yes.
You've got time to do research. And that really requires even staying on top of, it's almost minute by minute nowadays, whereas, or day by day. I mean, you can't paint with a wide brush and say, oh, the market's good. Well, yeah, the market's normally great, April 13th or whatever today is. But you almost have to check every couple of days or a week, or, get on those realtor groups. What do they see out there? Check the Bright statistics that they make available to you on Bright, so that you can see, like, okay, how are listings? What's our average days on market? Kind of test those things and look at. Now, don't look at the whole state of Virginia and judge based on what you're going to talk about, but look at that surrounding 5-mile radius, or that neighborhood that you're going into. But you've got to know they have no idea. And I promise you, this is a small anecdote, but this morning I was listening to the Bobby Bones show, and he had on Barbara Corcoran, the famous from Shark Tank, and she's a
Shark Tank.
She made all her chops in real estate and finance and all. Well, she gets on the radio and says, if somebody's going to buy real estate right now, they must be really risky and not care about risk, because the market, is very uneasy, and you can find deals out there and you can low bid. Well, she's talking nationally, or in New York, where it might be in a different. That's not the market in Northern Virginia, but people don't know that. Anybody that would just happen to be listening to Bobby Bones this morning thinks the real estate market's in shambles and you can come in and lowball stuff. Well, that's obviously not the case around here, but they don't know that. You have to be the expert. You have to give them the information so that they can make informed opinions, and
lots of education.
Yeah. So it's all about, they want to hire the experts. So do your research. You've got the time where you can be quiet and spend the couple hours of knowing all the homes in your market and being the expert. So make sure that you come across as the expert in that.
And piggybacking, don't guess. I mean, you've got to stand out and be professional, not just be pulled along with whatever the client wants to believe. You
Right.
have to be the professional here, and you have to know the information to be able to adequately portray the information. So
Right.
if you don't have it, go out and get it.
Absolutely. Get them on FaceTime so you can give them away some work projects to do. We talked about that. Professional photos,
So important right now.
even more important, like nowadays, we always stress this, but nowadays people are not going to go willy-nilly and look at any house out there, unless they.
And you don't want them to.
No, you don't want them to.
want them to.
Right.
Right.
I've heard people try to argue, well, I don't want to give away too much because I want 25 people to come look this weekend. No, you don't. That's not the safest for your house, for your seller, for anybody else coming in there. In your perfect world, you want the 30 prospective buyers to see all the pictures, see all the videos, see the great way you've put it out. And the 5 or 10 people that really love it, them come look. Just the people that are really super interested. I know I talked to some of our agents last week. They gave me an example. Like they put a great video, great pictures out. They only had 5 showings, but 2 people made offers. That's great. That means great. If they didn't put anything up, they might have had 15 showings, but then everybody would have been overly exposed for no reason. But the 5 people that were really interested came. 2 of them were interested in making an offer. They got a full price offer the first weekend, and they were happier than a pig in mud. Do your best by your sellers and the buyers out there. Give everybody the photos, and then we actually kind of went a separate way. And you can get video tours. You can get the Matterport 3Ds. I don't think you or I are huge fans of the Matterports. No. I can't tell. Did you speak and I didn't hear it, or just your mouth move?
I spoke.
Okay.
I said no.
No, the Matterports are okay. They're not my favorite.
They're
I think
all right.
they get people dizzy.
They make me dizzy.
I think that, there's a place for them out there. And if you want to add that in as addition, there's no downside because a small piece of the market might like them. But I like the walking video tours, and some people do them with just the music, and the people do a good job of them. And maybe Sarah and I go this way because we're not afraid to stand in front of a camera and talk. But I would have either your photographer, see if you could be there at the same time as him. Danny and I talked about last week, like, see if you can flip the photographer a little bit extra money to spend an extra 30 minutes with you and walk around the house and video you. All those cameras have video functionality as well. Video you while you're talking about the house, or, bring a buddy, have them pull out their iPhone. They have stabilizers where you can actually, get on each side
Slowly.
of it. So you're not walking around like Sarah with one hand like that. You can actually like put it in a little machine that stabilizes it. So don't try not to do it yourself because it's not going to come in. Your face is right up in there. But, if Sarah was holding the camera, stable and I'm walking around the house following me, well, now I've got an opportunity to be the voice and to talk about the great product that I'm going to sell. I just think that is such a powerful thing, out there. And you're going to look like the listing agent then went above and beyond to really show off that property. And not only for your seller's going to love it, but who else is going to love it? Prospective sellers that might sell, in a couple weeks or a couple months. They're going to be like, look what Donny did. Look what Sarah did on their listing. They did this walking video tour. They really showed off the house's great tips. Ask the seller, what are your favorite things you want to make sure I mention as I do this walking tour? So I would highly.
No one is going to be able to sell that house better than that listing agent.
Nobody.
They are going to love that house.
Right.
Now this is your time to shine and to show all of the wonderful things that are attributed about that house. Get it out there. Being able to say, hey, this is Sarah Moorman with Samson Properties, and I am here at my new listing on 123 Main Street, and I want to show you this pond that you could sit on this back deck and drink your coffee and overlook this pond as the sun comes up, blah, 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 right? That unbranded is allowed now within Bright. We need to take advantage of that. And then prospective buyers, they're also going to see those links because you're going to post them in those general remarks so that it'll feed. And then they're sending it to their friends saying, look at the walkthrough, right? Look at the walkthrough that this agent did on the property. This is the property I'm buying, or this is the property I'm interested in. So that video is, you're not going to blast your name in neon lights, but being able to show how you're different, and that'll go viral.
They're going to find who that is. But the difference between unbranded and branded you can't put your graphics up there saying your name and number and how to contact you. And you don't even want to say your email address and website and phone number. You can say, I'm Sarah Moorman with Samson Properties, But when you start trying to brand it, don't make it about you, make it about the house. They're going to allow that.
Got to be about the
to
house.
market.
Absolutely.
And that's the key. They're going to be
It
impressed
just
enough.
shows you're different. It
Yeah.
shows you're different.
Yep.
You're willing to go above and beyond and do something a little bit different than everyone else.
And one thing was to keep the videos to 3 to 5 minutes. If you have to do 2 or 3 and it says like, look, exterior main level or whatever, and you have to have 2 videos to encompass the whole house, do that. But when you start trying to download 6, 8, 10, 15-minute videos, it's going to have some processor problems with some people, and people aren't going to be able to get through the video. The other thing is when they click on it,
you're going to lose people's interest.
You're going to lose
people's
interest. They see 3 to 5 minutes. They're like, oh, I'll jump in for that. They see 12 or 15. They might be as willing. If they like the first 3 to 5 minute video, they'll click on the second one if they're interested in the house. But try to keep it to a reasonable distance so they're willing to do it and the processor speed will still work. So really, we're big fans of the walking tours. Selling individual tours. This was a couple of years. Consider inspections ahead of time. Talk about some of these, Sarah.
This is something that a lot of other areas of the country do as a standard of do home inspections and all that good stuff ahead of time. And we just don't here. And it's just a matter of habit. But this is a wonderful way to get your home inspector in, you have a controlled environment of who's in the house. They can do the inspection. You can make the repairs. You can show that you've made the repairs and offer that as a service to the buyers ahead of time to just say, hey, look, we went ahead and we did an inspection. Here's the inspection report. That's, again, controlling. Maybe they'll take your inspection report to keep people from coming in and out of the house. We've already had the repairs. You're going to get nice, clean offers that way because they're not going to now write all of these extra contingencies in. They're going to see it ahead of time. Nice, clean report. I just did that on one of mine. It was great. We went inspection or contingency free on every single one because I gave them the radon report. I gave them the home inspection report, all of that stuff that we had done it ahead of time, just stuff that we could offer. And one of the other things that we did that I thought was great was go ahead and put a warranty on the house. We went ahead and did the seller warranty period so that anything that broke while we were on market, the sellers were covered under that. But then it went a long way too to say, hey, look, buyer, we went ahead, we did the inspection report for you. Here's the inspection report. We went ahead and fixed anything that came up as a deficiency on that report. So here's the receipts for that. And oh, by the way, just in case, we're adding a home warranty on there to protect you because that's just an extra level of protection that you're going to get right now since you're not going to be able to spend a lot of time in the house. It just helps buyers feel more comfortable and might make a big difference.
Anything you can do to create comfort now in this arena where there is so much uncomfort, with everything going on, people are uncomfortable and nervous. And if you can create that extra layer of protection and making people feel safe, then you're going to be better off. And I wrote, consider offer professional cleanings as a seller incentive or as a realtor for your buyers or sellers. So I haven't heard a lot of people talk about this, but a professional cleaning, sometimes buyers will ask for it. If they're coming in, they'll make it as part of their inspection. Technically it's not a fix of the house, but that's kind of their one time to ask for something if they want to. But if you're the realtor, sometimes, a couple $100 can go a long way. Like, hey, if you're like, I had one idea, I was talking to a seller and they were going to go to the market Thursday or Friday. It was a friend of mine. So they come to me for some advice. Well, okay, list the home in that Thursday or Friday, take off for a couple of days. If you anticipate a couple showings, go. If there's somewhere safe, you've got another family member or something, and then offer to pay for a cleaning Monday when they come back in before they come back in the house after there's been 5 or 6 people through the weekend. Yes, we know hopefully they've been wiping down and all that kind of stuff, but it makes your sellers feel less worried if they're like, look, okay, we had 5 showings over the weekend, but then professional cleaners came in Monday morning, paid for by my realtor. It was $200 and a $15,000 commission, and had the house cleaned from top to bottom. All of a sudden I walk into a freshly cleaned house. I felt a lot better about things. So it's just something to consider. We make a good amount of money on these transactions, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, and a small thing like offering to get it cleaned for your buyer or seller. One might make them feel more comfortable, or two might be a great closing gift or a gift to help incentivize them to work with you as their realtor.
And the other piece of that too is if you've sent them, because I do the same thing, I send them, go on the market Thursday, I send them to a hotel or out of town, especially now. And when they get back, they're tired, they're traveling. The last thing they want to do is have to sit there and Clorox the house down and do all the things because they don't know what people have touched. It's just a way to help you go above and beyond, and for you to just do that extra special thing that makes somebody your raving fan.
Yep.
It's equivalent to snow shoveling your driveway in the winter.
Right.
It's just one extra thing that shows that you care, right? And that you're willing to go above and beyond. I love that.
Right now, if it were me, I'd make it part of my listing presentation because, look, we do a lot of things when it comes to listing homes and offer out this marketing and this marketing. And all of a sudden, if you offered out, free home cleaning or whatever it is, however you wanted to manipulate that into your arsenal, I think it might make you stand out as understanding the times and making them feel more comfortable during this process. So just something to consider, that's obviously not required or anything, but you can become, like you said, create a raving fan and or get that business because you thought of it ahead of time and somebody else didn't. Get your buyers ready ahead of time.
I was going to say one more thing. Even if you're not willing to, suggest that they do it. I mean, at least have that as part of your, hey, look, part of our plan is we're going to do pictures here. We're going to get you out of the house here. We're going to have it cleaned before we go on market here. And you know what? I would recommend you just having it cleaned again. So can I schedule that for you just to be safe? In many cases, it's not that you are paying for it. In many cases, it's just that you're thinking about being concerned about their safety. And they'll say, yeah, please schedule your people to come in. They don't mind necessarily paying for it in all cases. It's just that you're thinking about it.
Yep.
Another option.
Get your buyers ready ahead of time. So
get them ready. Get them in front of your First Heritage loan officer. Make sure that they've got their documents together. The last thing anybody or any listing agent wants in their house right now is somebody that's a looky-loo, that just has nothing better to do on a Sunday afternoon, that go look at a house and they're housetosis themselves, so they've got to get out. They don't want them and their germs in their house. So make sure, and many agents, I was out showing property 2 weekends ago, and I had 3 listing agents call me and say, are your people qualified? Are they serious? Because we don't want you in the house if they're not. So take the stance, tell your people, I'm happy to take you. I'm happy to look at your top 3. But we need to make sure that we get all of our ducks in a row and get our lender in and make sure that you're qualified. We have your letter, they have your docs, because the last thing you want is somebody to get out of their house and be exposed to germs and all that good stuff, only to find out your people don't qualify because you never had them looked at before you put them in the car.
Right. And the other side of that is these listing agents. So we came out with our access acknowledgement form that sellers can use.
Yes.
Totally optional for you all. If you want to attach in your documents where buyers and buyer agents have to disclose, are you aware that you have COVID? Were you aware that you've been exposed to COVID? That kind of stuff.
Traveled, all that good stuff.
Right. Now, is that foolproof? Of course not, because some of us don't even know if we've got COVID because we could be asymptomatic. But it gives people a peace of mind. Well, some listing agents I've seen go the extra step and even say, has your buyer been pre-qualified? If so, with who? And require that before showing. Look, could it cut out a couple showings? Maybe, but I'm not opposed to that process either. I'm not so sure if I had a seller who was a little bit queasy that I wouldn't include something like that because, it shouldn't have any problem answering that question as a buyer or buyer's agent because you should have that step taken place. You're not doing your job if you're not. Like, you shouldn't be out exposing yourself to risk if the buyer isn't fully qualified or isn't even close to qualified or isn't willing to talk to a loan officer. So I got distracted.
And if they're not willing to talk to the loan officer, that also indicates their level of sincerity, right? Yep. Their level of seriousness in the process itself. So
if they're not pre-approved, they're not willing to be, they shouldn't be out looking at houses with you right now.
Absolutely not.
Use Zachem as a resource for EMD. So we obviously did not have foresight to know that something like this was happening. We're just trying to make our lives.
No, but we prepared in advance. It's awesome.
We're ahead. People are rocking and rolling with this. So the Zachem app is a resource many of you are using. A couple hundred a month, if not more. I haven't gotten this month's report, but I'm sure it was crazy in March, which is awesome. But keep using that app for your EMDs. It makes your life easier. It's going in. You don't have to worry about that. As you know, all of our current office staff is working from home. Cynthia is coming in to collect those checks once a day and deposit them all. But you want to limit the amount of exposure you have to. So Zachem app.
A couple things I would say on Zachem, a couple of just good practices. Number one, that when you deposit that check and you put in the information on the listing agent or the buyer seller, they're going to receive an email that you did deposit it. So it's a great way to go ahead and let that listing agent know that you have deposited the check when you deposit it. Just make sure you're within your EMD timelines, because they'll know if you're not, because it'll tell you. If you leave their information off, you'll still get an email. It just won't notify anybody else. Number two, you want to set up a password. I'm not saying this from personal experience or anything, but you need to set up a password that might be easy for you to remember, because you have to give that password every time you log in. You cannot save it in your phone. There will be times when you forget what that password is, so make it something, it's numerical. So make it something you can remember what it is. And the third one is make sure you take, no, stop laughing. Make sure you take nice, clear images of your check. If there is any fuzziness or fingers in the way of the account number or anything like that, it will bounce the check after 10 days of you depositing it. So just make sure you have a nice, clear image with not a white background, because it won't distinguish what the check looks like. You need it on that dark surface so that you get a nice, clear picture. It's just like mobile banking, but it's really simple to use. Just a couple of things that I've discovered along the way.
Also, I hate to continue to harp on this, but if your EMD is going to Cardinal Title, click the Cardinal Title logo. If it's going to Samson Properties, please click on the Samson logo. We still have people that
Samson and Cardinal do not have the same bank accounts. They are two different companies. You have to click on the right company.
Different bank accounts, and when you send it to the wrong place, it makes a nightmare for our people that we have to sort through. And technically, we shouldn't be shifting EMDs to the other without doing all sorts of steps. So please try to send it to the right spot. It sends it creates a lot of work on our end that we'd rather not have. That's if we catch it, or if we don't, all of a sudden we got money in the wrong escrow account, and then we get to closing and realize that the other company has their money, which isn't ideal. Evaluate your current business materials. So this was our kind of our last talking point. So this is not even just the everyday buying and selling of real estate, but this is just
your business.
Yeah, what you can do now when you've got the time to just pause. And you and I are doing a lot of this when it comes to the company level. There's a lot of things that now that I've had time to sit in front of our stuff, it's like, okay, we can improve this section, or we can improve this part of our website, or we can improve this. Our company listing presentation needs updating, or whatever the case may be. So stop and know that you have time to pause and look around instead of getting caught up in the everyday of craziness. And you're driving all around doing all this stuff. Look at these things. These are kind of some of the things off the top of our head that, things that you should be working on every day. The first one, not even website, but our education. And Dana and I harped on this last Wednesday, but take the classes that we're offering. We had like 150 people in Cynthia's 5-day challenge last week, which is awesome. And we're going to give out awards on that on Wednesday and that kind of stuff. But, we're going to continue to create fun opportunities for you at Samson, but do the education, learn new things, branch yourself out. Don't sit in a rut, accomplish new things. You're going to wake up in 8 weeks, when 4 weeks or 8 weeks more out of this thing, and you've got new skills that you've learned during this down period, instead of figuring out if you could watch every Netflix series known to man and binge it.
Well, you're keeping your brain active. And that's important, because, people's personas and their personalities and their positive and negative ability on life changes when your brain goes into different patterns, right? We're not going to go into the scientific nature of the brain. But if you keep yourself engaged,
I'm big
on brain patterns. If you keep yourself engaged and keep firing from a perspective of learning more and learning something new each day, it puts you into a positive mindset, which will help you get through this even on a good day, right? Yeah. It keeps you in a positive mindset. It's keep your brain. I remember taking some time off from work when I had my daughter, and my brain went to mush because I wasn't engaged in learning all the different things. And that was 15 years ago, and I swore I would never do it again because I thought my brain was like mashed potatoes. So it literally is just learn something new.
Stay engaged. Did your brain turn to mush then too?
It did not, because I did not take any time off. He went straight from hospital to work, and I did not stop. Keep the brain engaged.
I taping a podcast.
I've already had one come in, and I was like holding the finger up going, don't talk.
Well, that was our fearless leader, Danny Samson. He called a second time, so I felt like I should text him back. So if you're watching this later, that's why I stopped for a second. It was Danny.
We're thinking about you, Danny.
He was worth texting back.
But it's again that same thing. Just like we're doing the education, though, it's the same thing. Our next 2 points of listing and buyer presentation. It's what do yours look like? How many of you don't even have one? Or if you have one, it's 22 years old or even 2 years old. Like do a little, refresher and a beef up to making it current and relevant with all of our current technologies and the current things that we offer at Samson. But it's also just the new technology and just adding new things in it. We don't do business the same way today that we did it 5 years ago. Update this stuff. You've got the time now to go ahead and make it pretty.
Right. And that's one of the reasons we did a lot of those great graphics for, not only your virtual stuff that we talked about how to virtually sell, but all the rankings and stuff that we accomplished in 19 as a company, because you should have some of that stuff in there. Some of you guys can't brag about sold $300 million in homes in your career or however many homes, but you can brag about the fact that you're working for a company that, is a speeding bullet and accomplishing lots of things out there. So include some about yourself, some about our company's success. Get on the message boards and talk to each other. Hey, I'm looking at beefing up my listing presentation. Is anybody willing to share theirs? People are willing to share in this company. They're all super nice, and we're all, one big family trying to help each other out, so people sharing with each other. I know we've got some templates online that we're always looking to improve, but share with each other. You can get these listing and buyer presentations even better. I know Tammy's got a bunch on the nest that we're constantly updating as well, that from her classes, but you can find one that fits you, especially if you're going to start doing these Zoom things. It's one thing you can fake it in person, and I still think you should always have a good one. I always did when I walked in, but online, if you're going to do a Zoom presentation, your material's got to be good, because that's what you're going to share the screen. You don't want to stare through somebody at a computer and just talk to them. You got to have some stuff for them to look at for you to look legit.
Well, and nice, clean graphics versus fuzzy pixelization is huge. But I did the same thing this weekend. I sat down and I used all of our new charts that we were number 3 in the Mid-Atlantic and how much we sold last year and all of our great real trends. I went in and changed mine. So update them, make them relevant, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Don't get locked up with it. Doesn't take a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of the other and make it your own and something that you can talk about that just makes you look legitimate.
Right. Social media page and presence. Now, so many people are meeting with Aaron and Lori and Lania in Maryland and, our great staff, and they're learning these great things. And Cynthia did a lot of the 5-day thing. A lot of that focused on the websites and listing presentations by our social media. You've got, if you're ever going to learn, now's a good time. Aaron will get on you Zoom one-on-one. She'll go step by step. We've got lots of classes on it. Get yourself a Facebook business page. Get engaged in social media now, especially before we're going to jump into KV Core in June, so that you can help leverage some of those things. But if you don't have some of these things out there, you're not going to be able to leverage them as well. Prospecting.
Absolutely. And join Samson Properties agent group, join the Samson Insider page. We moved a lot of our social media to the message boards last year, but at the same time, those are 2 groups that are still very active where we're posting new things. So from agents to other agents where you can communicate back and forth. So join those 2 groups just so that you can have access to some more information as well.
I would even tell you, and this might sound weird, join other groups in the area. National groups,
there's great forums.
Virginia groups. I learn more from some of these big realtor groups around the area because we get our own little bubble and we hear Samson, we know Samson, you hear from me and Sarah and Danny and some of the people that are always in front of you here, but it's good to hear what else is going on out there in these other companies and things that they're learning for. I said this in the meeting I sent out last week, the notes I sent out, I'm not exaggerating. I've listened to 20 to 25 leaders across the country. I know you have too, Sarah, but different webinars where they get 2 or 3 of these people in and look, we're not above both of us trying to figure out, look, we can listen to the smartest people in the country that are running other companies and we can learn how to help run Samson from that. So getting that exposure, the same thing you guys can do. If you listen to other good realtors around, you're going to learn stuff for your own real estate career. So, I just encourage you to get out there and be social. I don't assert my opinion very often.
People are sharing.
Yeah.
People are sharing. But again, it's to the point. I know the point you were getting ready to make. 2 ears, 1 mouth. You don't necessarily have to assert your opinion on all those things, but you can learn a lot by listening and picking up what other people are talking about.
Sure. Absolutely. Last couple things in here. We talked a lot about prospecting, but honing down your prospecting plan. And a lot of that will come
Figure out, execute out what you're doing, write it down, schedule it in your time block, set schedule every day, do it every day, hit different types, cell phone, text, messenger, handwritten note, Zoom happy hour with your buddies. Here's mine, cheers. I know churches have gone to online, women's groups and my women's groups online,
Do you bring your Hydroflax water to your Zoom happy hours?
I'm not drinking. I haven't drank in years. So every happy hour, my Hydro Flask is there. That or a cup of coffee. Yes. But, just engage and let people see you again. Guys, this is not pretty. Like, there is nothing about this. And in fact, I thought we were doing a podcast where he was stripping video, so I didn't even attempt. But whatever, we roll with it. So it's, at the end of the day,
it's
just engage with people.
It's 2:30. You could have taken a shower and got ready. It's okay.
I thought we were doing audio, my friend.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
I haven't had a shower. I'm owning up. This is what this looks like when I haven't had a shower.
But no,
whatever.
The key is planning it out. The key is planning it out, like you said. You're not just going to randomly do these things. Set, your half hour, your hour every day that you're going to dedicate to your prospecting, and having who those prospects are.
Calendar,
yep. Yep. And then at the bottom, there was just another reminder, get that list of contracts ready. You can't prospect and do all the things Sarah's talking about, we're talking about here, unless you've got a good set of contacts. And you can't get launched with KV Core in 6 weeks unless you've got a good set ready to push into the system so we can get going with you. So reminder to get that ready right now. Any other closing tips you want to make, Sarah?
Yeah, on those contacts, name, email address, physical address. If you've got birthdays, great. If you've sold them properties and those dates, great. If you have those property addresses, great. If not, name, address, phone number, email address are the main important pieces that you need to implement to in your, whether it's your notebook or whether it's in an Excel spreadsheet, being able to get that information together so that we will be able to send that information up into the KV Core platform when we're doing it. But at the same time, if you're spending 5 and 6 minutes per person trying to track down an email address because you don't have it saved in one spot, your prospecting period of time is going to be completely eaten up with you trying to drive into all your different systems to figure out what the cell phone number is for that person or what the email address is versus having access to that in one click. So it's about efficiency, it's about effectiveness, and it's just about using what you've got technology-wise to be able to help you be more efficient. So go ahead and get that together. That's key. Closing thoughts, I guess, Donny, would be, again, we can bury our heads in the sand if we want to. And at the end of 6 weeks or 8 weeks, we're going to come out of this and we're going to start from scratch because prospecting models are every 30, 60, 90 days, right? You got 90 days of prospecting, it ends up a sale. If you're staying engaged and you're staying in touch with people, not the, hey, I'm here to sell your house today, but just the, hey, how are you? I care about you. Staying in touch, being in rapport with them, being in flow with them. You are going to be in a much better shape to pick your business back up at the end of this when all this is over with than it is if you just dig your head in the sand and pretend not to come out for 8 weeks. So regularly scheduled. Look, if you want to work 4 days instead of 5, if you want to work 7 days, this is your business. You're an independent contractor. We're just here to support you and give you the tools and skills and resources to be able to do it effectively. But some level of reoccurring, consistent engagement is the key to what's going to keep your business flowing right now and keep your business steady so that you will still have a business when you come out.
Exactly. Great tips. So I appreciate Sarah coming by. We had a good discussion here. We can watch this later on, through our podcast platform. We'll make it available on Samson University as well. But I appreciate everybody joining us on the Front Door podcast, video and audio version. And we look forward to talking to you all soon. Stay safe out there, and thanks for all your hard work, everybody.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Front Door, presented by Samson Properties, a family-owned and operated brokerage serving Virginia, Maryland, and D.C. With a 100% commission model, extensive free training, an unmatched number of free and low-cost resources for agents, Samson Properties is the most realtor-friendly company in the industry.